Get going. There's a couple of people that told me they're going to come on and they're running late. So we're just going to get going.
Okay.
So yeah, here we are. We're going to talk about spirituality of wealth. It's very, very fascinating and fun topic. We can go all kinds of different places with this. Tonight I'm going to talk about sort of the history of the prosperity consciousness, the history behind what happened with it, and why it's changed and how it's changed. And then we're going to talk about money lies, and then we're going to talk about how we can fix those and get over it. And so that we open ourselves up to more money and manifesting. We'll talk a little bit about manifesting tonight. And the role of money. What's the purpose of money? So we get rid of it being bad or good or whatever. And then I'm going to give you some practices to do that will help uncover this all. Or help you move along and be able to create more money in your life. How's that all sound? Okay, you guys are quiet. So I, for a long time, I have been studying prosperity consciousness. I've been studying the energies of the universe, and that all kind of boils into a form of thought or a form of knowledge called metaphysics. And metaphysics is the idea of how the laws of the universe, how the universe works together, and how everything sort of works, not just on the I call it 3D, the 3D plane where we live right now, but really in the spiritual plane. And it's about how does the spiritual plane have intention and touch what is happening here. And for many, many years, I was taught that they were very separate. Has anybody else thought about, and I thought about it as being separate, like there's heaven, here's me, right? And there's, there's the angels and here's me, right? There's God and here's me. And the longer that I sort of got into this kind of thought when I was very, very unhappy and was wanted to commit suicide. And I was in a lot of debt, and I just felt like I was the biggest loser there ever was. And I had a lot of experiences of lack in my life. And some of you have heard my story that I went out for a walk to plan my suicide, to commit suicide. And during that time, I encountered a miracle. And it was a spiritual experience where I was moved emotionally, like literally pushed back from where I was standing, and then had some feelings inside of me that were, and actually sort of, I don't want to say a voice, but it was a knowing of, you look at this differently, look at this differently. And it changed my entire world. And from that moment, it was like a switch flipped for me. And I understood for myself that God was not separate from me, that I was part of my spiritual journey, was part of what was going on inside of me, and that I could have active communication spiritually. And that not only that, but what was going on inside me was managing a lot of what would happen. So since that time, I'm going to have everybody, I think everybody knows everybody, but we'll introduce ourselves in just a second. Since that time, I have studied how this works. I have years and years and years of study, not only study, but actual practice of putting this into practice and seeing how it works, experimenting, essentially being part of the energy of creation. And so for me, this is a phenomenal opportunity to talk about this. I think it's a wonderful time to do it on Sunday. Sunday seems to be a more spiritually connected day for many, many people. And I would love to hear if you have some interest to continue to have these kind of conversations, and these kind of like the spirituality, and how this all works with energy and other realms. If you would be interested in doing that as we move forward, because I would love it. I would just love to create and co-create with you and teach you about metaphysics of how you can deeply connect with the more deeper than the spiritual realm from the inside out of you. So that's a little confusing, and that's why we're starting at a certain level. It's not what we're usually taught, so let's all acknowledge that. And I'm going to have everybody kind of say hi. I think Melissa's coming on in just a little while too, and just introduce yourself. So I think everybody knows everybody, but I fully expect and by the way, part of this spiritual journey for me is that I do communicate spiritually with the spiritual realm. So I can pray and I receive like answers in my mind, which makes me a really good coach because I can see a lot of times what needs to happen or what could happen if you make certain choices. And so I can coach to that. I don't always say what I'm getting, what I'm hearing from that world, but I'm very glad if any of you ever want to have like an intuitive session with me where I talk about that and what I'm getting from the spiritual realms. I'm very glad to do that. Some people it weirds out, but I absolutely know that there is not a separation. So that's my start on this. And I'm gonna teach you a little segment of what I know tonight, of my expertise in this, and this is joyous for me. So let's stop for just a minute and have everybody introduce yourself. Peter, you want to introduce? I think everybody knows you, but Peter might be doing something else.
Sorry, can't find the mute button.
Oh,
I am Peter Scott. I am a coach in Greenville, South Carolina. I do coaching and healing, particularly around tech and AI. And I help Paula and her team with AI as well.
you the
So happy to be
spirituals.
here.
Yeah. We do need healing around AI. That's really great. I love healing around AI. You've provided a lot of healing for me around AI. That's beautiful. I love that. All right, Tanya.
Hi, my name is Tanya. I am wanting to know more about this. I am in tune with you in the fact that we are one with the spiritual world, and just trying to figure out, just connect it all together.
Yep, I love it. We're gonna do that together. I think it's better done in groups. I think that's what we're supposed to be doing. So I'm really pleased that we're doing this. Beverly.
I am Beverly, and well, me and you've already had a little bit of a conversation. Totally believe. I know God, our Creator, created everything. It belongs all to Him anyway. But that's definitely an area in my life I have struggled with. Because if it's okay, I'll give a little bit of my spiritual background.
Yeah, please.
Wasn't always raised in church all the time, but started regularly as a teenager, and of course heard, at times, money is evil, that whole thing, when it's actually the love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
According to God's word. But still, when you're heard that, I do believe it has created a block.
Yeah.
I've not always been obedient to God's word when it comes to what we're supposed to do with our money as well. I will confess that. And so just trying to, again, learn the connection. I have been reading the abundance book. I am on today was day 20 of the 40-day plan. So I'm
You've been around
halfway.
twice. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm halfway there. And today's was, when I read today's, I was like, I stopped and okay, Lord, how do you keep your mind totally on you when you're living in this world? When
Exactly.
when things are coming at you and this is your reality. So just, yeah, it is a struggle. I mean, because we're human, we're flesh,
Right.
and
We're in the
we can't.
3D. Right.
There are times that I'm like, can you be like you did in the Old Testament, like right here? Like,
Just be
show
here and
up.
talk to me.
Like, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of what I'm going to teach tonight is and we're talking about specifically the spirituality of money, but other times we get together, we may, talk about other topics and how that fits together, and the spiritual realm, God's world, and what we live in this 3D world every day, and like you said, how you kind of like, how do I do this, right? But today, a lot of what I am teaching is from the Abundance book by John Randolph Price. And I would recommend that you get it. It's like what, $7 on
Amazon.
Amazon. And
Mhm.
it's just phenomenal. And part of what is some daily practices that'll help you get better connected and better in control of how all of this works, how of the flow works, are outlined in this book. And by the way, I just want to say that there are recommendations that you don't go out and just talk about this willy-nilly with everyone, because it breaks energy patterns, it breaks energy codes. And, I teach the abundance codes to you all, and there's some energy codes, and going out and talking to everybody and then getting in the middle of the conversation where people are fighting about it and those kind of things really does take away the energy of abundance. And so we want it as much as we can. When you get into these meditations and you get thinking about abundance, you get thinking about God as abundant and those kind of things, so that you can kind of contain the energy in the way it's supposed to be contained, so that it can help you. You don't want to spread the energy out or create some negativity. So being in spaces like this where we're all exploring is fine. Thinking about it, and talking and asking questions is beautiful. But the arguing and the, no, that doesn't work, and no, it's only my way, and I've got to be right, is the thing that really will take you to a lower vibration, if you will, if you want to call it that, or take you out of that abundance journey. So just want to be kind of tell everybody, you're going to love what we do tonight. You're going to feel tons of energy. It's going to open up your thought processes. I know we're going to want to do this more. I know I will. I want to do it more already. I was so excited all day today. I couldn't believe it. But kind of be careful, like maybe invite people that you are having these conversations with or want to back here if we decide we're going to keep doing this. Okay. Because you don't want to get into the derailment of how beautiful this can be. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start. We're recording this so we can, we can listen to it later and all those kind of things. So the first thing I want to talk about is this idea, what is prosperity consciousness? And prosperity consciousness is exactly what Beverly just spoke to, and that is the idea that there's one presence, God, I call God, one presence, and that presence is sort of in charge of everything, the one great spirit, if you will, and is abundant, is absolutely abundant, is everything that we need is available for everyone. That it is absolutely just blessing and love, right? That is the spirit of God. And the prosperity consciousness is that it's not separate from us. Like Beverly just said, God has it all, and we're part of the all, right? So we are part of that story. Our humanness is not making us separate. God is living inside us, the Christ within, or however you want to call that, right? The wholeness within. And actually, if you would take just a minute right now and access that experience of the feeling of God within you, you can relate to this and rely on this anytime you need it. All right. And I would advise you to, on purpose, the consciousness, if you will, to go find it as often as you can. All right. So I'd like you to do right now, if you will, is just relax. One of the key components, God wants you to be relaxed. That's how you communicate best with God, is when you're relaxed. So relax. It's so good for our bodies, and that's why it's so good for the universe. It's so good. Breathing is breathing in God, breathing out God. So relax and find in your body that it's usually down in your lower belly, like not your belly, but lower part, like sort of right above the groin. And it's usually tingly when you tune in, or maybe a little bit like giggly. And it's a nice, wonderful, kind, easy energy. All right. So that is where God is inside of you. And you can also sometimes find it in your heart. But there's so many stories about love and disconnection about love and broken heart and broken this and trauma, drama, all that stuff, that our heart gets out of sync. So finding first God in the lower gut and then bringing that feeling up to your heart will be amazing. So just kind of, if you can, tune in and just find that tingle, find that, sometimes for me, it's kind of like a giggle, in like a little kid giggle. And it's always a gentle energy and a loving energy. Okay. And sometimes when you're finding this energy, you may have something that's like telling you, no, that's just made up, or no, you don't understand. That is all messagings that we have had. It's like lies. It's like the matrix that's in us. And you can just let that be there. You'll learn how to let it go. But for right now, we just want you to find God within. And the more frequently you access this, especially Beverly, while you're doing your meditations, access that part while you're meditating, it'll mean more and you'll create more. Okay. So everybody had the opportunity to do this? Okay. And you can keep, I mean, there's no reason for you not to just sit here this whole time and just, play around with God, right? Why not? Right? God's really happy about that, right? Okay. So, and by the way, whenever you are feeling anxious, depressed, resentful, competitive, and it feels really icky, like anytime you're feeling really icky, you have lost your connection with God, your God within. And that is a really good thing for you to know, because you can say, hey, that's how God tells me I've lost my connection. So you can literally say, okay, I'm in some other space. Some people call it the devil or whatever, but you're not in the space with God. And so you can take action to return back, right? The primary ways that you will disconnect I don't want to say the worst, but you'll stop creating, and God never gets mad about it. It's just you're going to feel icky because you're not feeling what God's feeling. That's why. But the primary reasons that you will disconnect the deepest is over resentment. Resentment is just really, really, really a bad one. All right. So resentment, and it's kind of like unforgiveness, right? Resentment and unforgiveness. Okay. So let's talk about what happened here and why this is so confusing to us and why we're seeking so hard at like these ages we're at now. And here we are, trying to figure all this out. Because when at the dawn of time, or maybe there wasn't even a dawn of time, but this has always been the case. God has always been with us. This has always been connected. And there's like a history behind this. And back in around 300 BC, there was like ancient religions. If you go study ancient religions, ancient sources, there's a similar story of the connection of God, of the creation and all that stuff. And then around 300 BC, there became sort of like this group of, if you will, priests or whoever they were, and they wanted to control everyone and what they thought and what was happening. And so at that time, they began on purpose to tell people, and you have to understand, back in these days, people didn't read, they didn't know how to read. So all they learned was from somebody else telling them something, right? And most people didn't, it was just like a story culture, right? And so when you had somebody in authority, they had real, like total and complete authority. And so it really benefited, it benefited what was happening at the time to make as many people as they could be slaves, if you will, the feudal society, they call that. And so by telling these stories of you don't have like an inner guidance to you, that's a lie. That's what they were told. And it's us who needs to tell you what to do, or you will die. You will not live if you not. And that was the truth. They started literally killing people if they had other thoughts, if they did other things. And so this went on for a really long time. And then you hear the stories of the Dark Ages, right? Where on purpose, the leaders would find people and decide that they weren't thinking the way they wanted them to think and doing what they wanted them to tell. And they would literally murder people. They would murder babies because the babies were not, it was just really, really bad. So during that time, this like massive amount of, change in belief, change in thought happened. And it just went on for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so it became part of who we are. And it's called the race theory, that they were creating a race of humans that did this, right? And so that became the story of how God is separate. This heaven's here, you're lower, this is higher, of, not as much access. And this, in different realms, there's all kinds of things that happened because this went on for a very long time. And finally, in about the 1500s, there was a resurgence, and it was like a secret society resurgence. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of that now, like a secret society of people that don't believe what we're being told, right? So in the 1500s, there was a secret society resurgence of connecting to prosperity consciousness, of people talking to each other about, no, we deserve prosperity. We were born abundant. We were born to receive. We're all equal. We're all part of God. There was a resurgence of that, but it was secret. And so that went on in sort of this pocket and grew and whatever. And then in about the 1800s, things did begin to change, in the 1880s. And there were many, many, many kind of like just happened. I don't know why, it just blossomed. Many of these thought leaders were talking about abundance and talking about how God is part of us, and God is Christ within was used very frequently, and many of the religions, the Protestant religions, were kind of changing from Catholicism, which was a primary source that was this is distant, this two different things. So the Protestant religions were going back to grace and those kind of things, and so that all started to change. And so, but no matter what, even throughout history, the Bible maintained all these messages of abundance. And Beverly, if you look at like page 9 and 10 of your book, there's tons and tons of these that unfortunately they don't have the exact scriptural thing. The one that we know the most is all things whatsoever you pray and ask for, believe that you have received them and you shall have them, right? So that is the indication, even contained in the Bible, that it's always been that if you ask, it's given. Ask and it is given. And if you believe it, that it is given. And that's part of the thing, is the disbelief, right? Because back in the Middle Ages, there had to be something that said, don't believe in God going to help you. You have to believe in we're going to help you. Right? If you don't believe we're going to help you, then we're going to kill you. Right? So we started getting like all into this fear and and disbelief and all of that stuff that we still carry with us. I mean, it's in our muscle memory. So we can't blame ourselves totally being human. So what this kind of like whole thing came down to abundance and money, right? So there were going to be some people that were rich and some people that weren't, right? Oh, Peter says that his God self, when he connects with it, feels joyful and a peaceful feeling. That's great. So during this time and, and carrying forward and still today, it became really important that there be some notice and some ability for, these kings or these feudal lords or whoever to have more than everybody else. And if people, disconnected from this idea of prosperity and they were in lack and they only thought about lack and they only thought about brokenness, it was a lot easier to do that. So trading and having, and we're going to call it money lies because money had its own its own history. But these lies started being very commonplace. So tell me some of the lies you know about money. What are some of the lies that you know about money or that you've heard? I'll say a few. It's hard to get money. Okay. Money doesn't grow on trees. It's hard to get money. Money is the root of all evil. That is, oh my gosh, that is so used, right? It's like, it's used as a battering ram to keep you in lack and fear, right? It's the root of all evil. Well, who wants to be evil? I don't want to be evil, and then you get all kind of crazy about, well, should I even have money? Am I better if I don't? There's a lot of people that are in the spiritual world who take a vow of poverty, who, artists think that they're no good if they're making money, there's like this disconnect. And what that has translated to is a message about money. Money's good or money's bad. It's like two things, right? It's either really great or really bad. And both of them are about money being put on a pedestal. Both of them. And so all of those lies, what you said, Beverly, it's the love of money that's bad. Well, all of these lies, that's about money being on a pedestal. All of those lies are what the piece is that's bad, right? Because it creates this weirdness around money, this thought weirdness, right? Okay, so boy, you're quoting scripture for me. I do not quote scripture. I'm not that girl. So thank you for
that. That scripture's on my desk.
Okay.
So yeah, and those thoughts, they become our God instead of we put that when we're talking about putting money on the pedestal. When that becomes our God, that's where the disconnect comes, and that's what God tells us. He's to be Lord, not anything else. So that's where we get the disconnection. But again, it's hard when you're living in it.
Oh my God, we hear it all day, every day. I mean, let's just admit, we hear if somebody's a millionaire, we feel like they're better than us. You know what I mean? Like, I've gotten to know people that are 7 and 8 figure earners. And I, at some point in my life, thought that I could never speak with them because they were just so smart. They were so, and then I get around them and because I coach some of them and I'm like, they're no different than me, right? It's, they're human. It's just a journey that they've been on with the energy. And remember, this is energy. You've just felt in your gut the energy of God. All right. God is a source, and that is an energy. So because God is an energy and God we're all part of the same ball of cookie dough, right? We have to be energy too. And everything else is energy as well. If it's of God, it has to be energy. You just felt it for yourself. So there's energy for money, there's energy for, whatever it is, love, everything is energy. A human being, like, you've probably been around, and have you ever walked into, like, this is a 3D world example, but have you ever walked in somebody's store and they're like, they just don't have a smile on their face and they're sitting looking down, and you walk in and they kind of scowl? And you just have this feeling like, I want to get the heck out of here, right? I mean, are you staying there to buy something?
Nope.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Tanya.
I said, nope.
No way. You want to, but that's an example of energy, right? You're feeling that when you walk in. They are exuding that grumpy, icky, low level, low vibe energy, and you don't want to be around it. And then you go into another store and somebody's like, oh, hey, how's it going today? You know, what's happening? Isn't it pretty outside? I mean, you sort of want to stay in there unless they go like crazy and attack you or something. But, you know, I mean, generally that feels a lot better, right? So we can feel this energy. And that's the thing that we need to remember most about. I'm sorry, my son's school is calling me to remind me that we're on spring break, or fall break. Okay, so that's the thing that we need to remember the most about these lies and about money is that when we, and let's go through a few more of the lies so we can really get them in our mind. So when we move forward into our world tomorrow or today or watch the news later, we go, oh, there's another money lie. There's another money lie. Okay. But what those money lies are doing, it's derailing you from connecting with the energy. That's the block. All right. So when you start to identify it as a lie, you can, you know, disregard it. You can, it's a lovely way to start to disregard this stuff and move your blocks along. There's so many people that spend literally years talking about their blocks, trying to find their blocks, going to workshops, doing trauma stuff, doing inner child stuff, you know, to try to find blocks. And it's usually around money or relationships. And the truth of the matter is, if they would just learn the energy of money and learn the lies that are taking them away, that those are the blocks, they could make choices to say, I don't want to, you know, play with this block, this lie anymore, and totally turn their attitude, their energy immediately. So you don't have to spend 900 years. You literally today can walk away from this computer and let go of those quote unquote blocks. How does that feel? It's pretty freaking amazing. But it does also require that you have to be aware. You can't just sink back into the race story, right? Because, and that's what Beverly was saying. Oh, Peter says that one of the messages, one of the lies is rich people are evil, right? We heard that because the people that were lack-based wanted to like make a reason for why they didn't have. And so they all started saying, well, and they probably were. I mean, the feudal lords were evil, right? They were doing pretty bad things. So this is a long-standing lie in story. And so then what that does to us is it makes us like think, well, what if I'm rich? Am I going to be evil? Right? So knowing that and kind of feeling that, like, I've had that experience myself where I was making significant amounts of money and something started feeling really weird inside of me. And I was like, what's going on? I mean, why do I feel so icky? Here comes this money. Here comes this blessing, the stuff I've always prayed for, but I feel icky. And I realized, like, as I felt icky, that wasn't God. What was it? And so I kind of drilled down into it and I realized that I was afraid that I was going to be evil because I had heard that so much, right? And so I had to sort of like talk to myself about, no, I'm not going to be evil. I'm still going to be me and I'm going to help people. And, you know, I'm a, you know, blah, 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 blah. So let's go through these lies because you can start getting aware of them. So rich people are evil, that money is the root of all evil. Even having money in your hand is evil. You know, even having money of any kind or thinking about money or talking about money is evil. That is part of the whole lie. All right. There's anybody else want to say one that you know of? Because I can, you know, I can go on and on about them, but it's important for us to start to identify them. And maybe more importantly, what are your lies that you're carrying around? What are the things you call a block? And you might not know. You might be like, I don't know. I know I've got something going on, but I don't know. Satan is father of lies. So any lies is never of God. Absolutely. That's exactly right. We have to hear, and that's why we're here today, because if you're feeling icky when you're experiencing whatever that story is, if you feel icky, that means God is not present. That's how God tells you that he's not around, right? So another icky one is not, this is really a big lie for women, is it's bad to talk about money. That you don't even want to say the word money. You use other terms instead of money. This is how you can tell if you're involved in this lie. Like you say things like blessings, or, you know, you don't say the actual word money. And you're really uncomfortable, like asking people to pay or whatever. That is another piece of that sort of being uncomfortable, or that story of, if you engage in it, it's bad, right? So that could be a huge block for you if you have discomfort even around talking about money. And it does impact. So think about this, like say Beverly or Tanya or even Peter or me. I've encountered this. But and everything I'm talking about, I've encountered. That's why I continue to study and continue to learn and continue to practice, because I want to, you know, I want to learn this. I want to be pure with this. And I always want to teach other people. That's my calling, is to teach. So I have like had the discomfort of to talk about money, because it's bad. It's all the messages, all the lies. It's bad. It'll make me evil. You know, I'm going to make somebody else uncomfortable, because after all, money is bad and we shouldn't talk about it. It's like cancer, right? And so I could go through like an entire program that's really going to help somebody, and then like not really talk about how much they're going to invest, or how much they're going to experience, because I don't want to talk about that. And then it goes down a bad road because I'm so uncomfortable, right? So Beverly could be talking with a person about a policy and be uncomfortable with the amount of per month that the policy would, you know, needs to be, and saying, you know, this is going to be $1,000 a month. And then she could be thinking in her mind, oh my God, that's a lot of money. I don't even want to say that. And then, you know, because of that discomfort, she's not going to represent it well. Right. And it happens a lot. So the practice here is to just, you know, start to talk about it, start to make it normalized. That's what I like to say, is let's normalize conversations about money. Right. Now, the hard part about this again is we live in a 3D world, and there's 98% of all the people that are walking around are living these lies and have no idea. They have absolutely no awareness. And so they're really in the matrix, if you will. They're really in the web, you know, Satan's web, whatever you want to call it. And they're in that lie, that race thought. And so many times, that's why getting in these kind of places, these kind of relationships is helpful, because you got to build yourself up. You got to remember, right? So anybody have a comment about that?
I have experienced that.
You have?
Oh yeah, in regards to that, and which is why I changed with always discussing a budget before I mention a policy amount, you know, what they're comfortable with, but also asking, because it is important that I ask, you know, like, what is your income? What does that look like for you? Because a lot of people, you know, especially, you know, don't think that they put a lower limit on what they can actually afford sometimes. So finding out, you know, what is your budget? What is your income? What is your expenses? What does that look like? Okay, well, look, did you know that you have this extra amount of money every month?
Well, and people are so involved in the money lies that they are afraid to spend it because they're hoarding, right?
Yep.
So they're holding and holding and holding because they don't believe, they're so lack-based in their thinking. The money lies are lack-based, by the way. The money lies are always about lack, always about focus on lack. It's not about what God provides. It's about what isn't there, right? And
Yep.
so a lot of people, that's why people don't want to talk about money, is because they're almost like a voodoo thing. Like if I mention it, it's going to make it bad, right? It's going to go away. So I'm gonna read a few of these lies right now that I have here. The one lie is it's hard to get money. You know, that you got to work hard. You know, only certain people get it. There's only so much, and that's an absolute lie. If we are in the prosperity consciousness, we know that there's an equal amount for everybody to access. There's more than enough. All right. Another lie is you want money, but secretly believe it's bad to want it. So that's like it's like a glitch there. I want it. I know I want to have a good life. I know I want to leave a legacy. I want to be able to pay for things, but secretly I think it's bad. And secretly, so you're not even being honest with yourself, right? So that's another money lie. You think it's hard to get money. You have a hard time even talking about money. We've already said that. And then the other one that's a big lie that I want to really tonight just dissolve is that you don't have the knowledge that money is a key component of God's plan for you. It is God's way of giving a 3D thing to hold on to, maybe more than anything else that is provided for us, that we can literally see, touch, and feel. We could taste it if we wanted to. We could lick a dollar bill if we wanted to. It's literally there for us and in front of us. Whereas much of what is in the spiritual world, in the God world, in the energy world, is not something we can touch or hear or feel. So it is like such a gift that it is one of the connections between God, the abundance of God, and us, right? It's like a tangible connection. And people are so afraid about it, so lack-based about it, so unable to think about that beautiful, beautiful story, that they're hoarding it. They won't give it out they won't, circulate it. It has to be circulated. Energy has to be circulated. Money is energy. All right. So that is a big money lie. It's probably the biggest money lie. Yeah, we've got these other ones that, we're involved with. But if you don't know, and if you don't think about money in this way, that it is the tangible experience of God himself, the abundant, tangible experience. And so thanksgiving for any amount, a penny, anything, because you now have a tangible relationship with God. And it is meant absolutely to be expected and received as a major component of God's presence in your life, right? So if it's not there, and we know that it's there's a lie blocking it out, right? So what we want to do is think about, let's lay down all of the messages about money and let's bring it down to its essence. So first of all, we know it's the tangible experience of energy of God, right? And it really doesn't have anything else about it that's so special. That's pretty special that it's an evidence of God's, hand. But everything else is about hoarding and lack. All of the other messages, it is an energy, a blessed energy that is in equal amounts to all. There's equal opportunities for money, the energy of money. And its role, money has only one role, and that is to pay for what you need, to provide for you, right? So we have assigned all these other roles to it. And those of us that get into lack-based thinking are more involved with giving other roles and importance to it than it really is about. And so if you think about what money came from, I was at the bank I don't know, about 2 months ago, and they literally were counting money, and they had stacks of $100 bills. Like they were, the teller was back there with literally, they were like, it looked like something you'd see out of like, what's the guy, the rich duck, what's the, on Donald Duck and his rich uncle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you know how he's in his office and he has stacks and stacks of money, right? Well, that's what it looked like. And she was like, in there just putting it in this machine, and it would go, and then it would put a little binder around it and put it away. And I had this moment when I was like, that's just paper to her. I mean, it's absolutely nothing, like no anything else but just paper. It's going in a machine, it's being wrapped, she puts it away. She's not like looking at it and going, oh, I'm standing around $100,000. She's just literally like, this is just it. And so I said something to her, and she was like, and I didn't like say that whole thing of what I was thinking. And she was like, yeah, it just becomes paper after a while. We know it's just paper. And so that was exactly her experience. It's just the thing that we use for one place to another to get what we need, right? And where I really see this is when I travel to other countries. I travel to Guatemala frequently, and the quetzale does not have any value in the United States. I can come back home, I literally have it stacked in the drawer. And well, if I went to exchange it in the United States after I brought it back, I shouldn't say it doesn't have any value. I would get maybe 3 cents on the dollar, right? It doesn't mean anything in the United States, but it means a lot in Guatemala, right? So it's really a great example of, how once you even cross over a certain line in the sand, this paper is meaningless. So we are the ones that are attributing all the importance to it, right? And the way it came about is that literally, I was saying this the other day while we were on some feed, and people used to exchange animals or buttons or whatever it was for goods and services, right? And then it got confusing, like, how many goats does this take? How many, and then, people would be like, well, a button and a goat. And it just got really confusing. And so, in like, I don't know, way back in the not the 1400s, the 900s, in Asia, they developed a little silver thing that had a meaning, and then they were using that for trade. But it got hard carrying around all those goats. It's a lot easier to carry a little piece of silver. What were you saying, Tanya?
I was just laughing. So I mean, that's.
Let's see. I'm going to the market today. I need to have 10 goats. Yeah, it got a little out of control. And so, how mankind is, we put in the instrument that'll help a little bit. So truly, money is an energy. It is equal to all. And it's just, if we take it down to its bare essence, it is abundance. It is God's signature that there's a connection, and it's meant to be in abundance. But the paper itself, it doesn't have it. We give it far more meaning than what it has. And so it's kind of like nice that we can be in this relationship, right? That we can know it, and that we're overlaying money, lack, fear. We're overlaying that because of lies that we've been told since we were born. There was probably somebody standing over your crib when you laid as a baby, talking to each mom and the dad or whoever, talking about, can we afford the diapers, or can we afford the formula? There's all, that is so part of what happens in the lack-based stories, that we have been inundated, and we hear it every day now. So that's the thing that, like Beverly says, that makes it really hard. Is we know, now that this is abundance and that God's providing it. It's all there for you. And our lies and acceptance of the lies is the break point. So it's just finding out what lie you're holding on to and letting it go. What do you guys think about that?
It's good.
That's true.
Yeah. Should be kind of like exciting. One, to know that God intends this for everyone and there is no limit. There is no limit to it. And our story of it being hard or it's hard to get is the story that keeps us from it. So if you could just say, well, I'm getting scared, there's not enough money. Let's focus on what if there was enough money? Remember the Bible verse we just read, that if you ask for it and believe, you shall have it. So you can reframe and start thinking about, what do I do with the money that I'm receiving? Instead of, oh no, what if there isn't? You know that story you think, like, you all of a sudden have this bill that's due and you don't have the money in your hand. And so you start thinking the story of like, what do I do if I don't have the money? What do I say? How do I deal with this? Could I borrow it? What's going to happen? Am I going to lose my house? Am I going to lose my car? Am I going to be able to eat? And, you spend like all of this time and energy on that, right? And then you start coming up with plan Bs. I will tell you that my ability to create plan B has killed more of anything that God has ever intended for me. I am absolutely sure, because I'll get so involved with the plan B and trying to vet plan B. There's no way that I could be blessed. There's no way. I'm just like, in control in plan B. So what we'll do is we'll tend to say, okay, now I don't have this money. And oh my God, if I don't pay that, I could lose the house. And then what's going to happen if I lose the house? I'll have nowhere to live. I'll have to live in my car. And then how would I even take a shower if I don't have a car? And like does anybody else do that? I can go there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
it's the race war. It's what we're taught to do. Whereas, how much time do you spend on, I'm going to get this money and it's going to be so cool. I know I'm going to pay this bill. And that feels so good to know I'm going to pay this bill. I mean, we don't spin the other story, the abundance story. We spin the lack-based story. And we spend so much energy and so much time on it, it's almost becomes a prayer. And then what's in the Bible about a prayer? That which you ask for and believe what
You're going to receive.
So what are we doing? We're
Yep.
believing, and we're really believing into, oh my God, this is going to happen. Oh my God, and we're imagining it so much that it does take on a reality for us. So knowing this, let's admit it is not easy. We have been taught to do this, right? It's part of the lie. But knowing this, you can stop yourself, and there's going to be something in your head that's like, what are you doing? Why are you stopping? Well, you're supposed to be like, creating the scene, the trauma, the victim, right? And there is going to be a piece of that for you, but you could literally go, no, getting out of the matrix, getting out of the lie, and let me spend time instead on the money coming. What is that like? Wouldn't that feel like? Wouldn't that be great? The opposite story, right? And what we want to say to that is what? What do we want to say to that? But we have to be realistic. What's realistic? It's two sides, right? Is saying the trauma drama and it's all going to go downhill realistic? Or is, telling the story of it's all going to be great and it'll be fine, it'll be wonderful, I'm loved. This is like, let's think about it this way. What we create and believe we will receive. What's realistic? Right? We've just been taught this. We've been taught to be in fear mode. Yeah. Is this the first time you've thought of this?
Yeah.
Tonight? Yeah. So this can change everything. Literally tonight, you can change the story. Right now, you can change the story. You're done. You fixed it. All right. And I've seen this in my life. I have, some of you guys know that I have a real estate deal that has gone down a really bad path. But the more that I spend time thinking about, what else could happen down the bad path and why is this happening and and then I get other people to engage in it with me, right? Like, whoa, and the more that I have that happen, the worse I feel, the less sleep I get, the less relaxed I am, and all that stuff, try not to cuss, all that stuff starts to happen, right? But when I start saying, okay, no, what is it I want? And I do have to fight through it sometimes because what if it doesn't? And you're just gonna like think about it good and then it won't happen anyway. I mean, I have to fight through that. But when I do, and I think about like today, I went over to the house and I just like sat in the backyard and I blessed the house. And I imagined the family that's going to move in there and all the blessing. And then I thanked God for being part of this and the abundance. And then I thanked also God for giving the solution that I don't even know exists. I mean, I was just like that kind of experience, and I just kept blessing this house, and it just felt so different. I could see the house almost like glittering. And guess what happened? Yeah, guess what happened? I was stuck a sign in the yard because I had to take it off the market because I'm trying to refinance it. And I stuck a sign in the yard for sale by owner. Somebody called me about the house.
Nice.
Isn't that wild?
Yep.
No, it's not wild. It's the truth. Of course. See, here I am saying, oh, we can't believe that's a miracle. No, of course. Right? So this happens to me. I know this journey. I know how to create. I know I have studied this long enough there. I know how it goes, but I still have to manage it. So let's just give ourselves some grace, but bless things as more than fear things. I'd like to have like a little conversation, and just, I'm going to go on to like, so how do you make this expand? What are some processes you can use that'll really, really make this beautiful and that you can create all the time from this moment on? Really, I've taught you some. You can just start imagining the good stuff and be in that and discipline yourself to do that. But how do you, and people call that manifesting. The word manifesting is not, it's the spiritual word of co-creating with God. It is the word for us as human beings realizing that we are part of God and part of the God story, and then stepping along with God and saying, let's make this happen. How do I follow you, and how do we work together to make this happen? That's what manifesting is. And there's even some messages out there that manifesting is bad, it's against God, it's la 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 la. And if you are really in the spiritual realm, you understand, unless you're trying to do something that's bad with it or hurt somebody. If you're looking to do something that's for the good of all, and it's for the good of you connecting with God, and you feel that good abundance before you even go anywhere, it's actually a spiritual process. It's actually a God process. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I love it. So Tanya, I know you've gotten into this a little bit more. I don't know where you were before, but you've gotten more into this in the last, I know because you interact with me about it in the last like month or so, maybe month and a half. What are you finding different? What are you seeing or feeling differently?
Well, my energy level is different, and my outlook is different because I'm not looking for the negative vibes or the negative outlooks of things. I'm looking towards more positive. And then when I get there into a negative spot, because I have,
Mhm.
that that meditation that you sent with Brian Scott.
Oh yeah, the receiving meditation.
Yeah, it's kind of lengthy, but that's
Yeah.
really helpful to just kind of just allow things to wash off you a little bit more
Yeah,
and put your focus more on when he talks about the universe and stuff. I just,
call it
equate that to God and all
right.
that. But
Yeah,
so I just focus more on, what is God? And so I started looking up stuff that are
yep,
different, looking at what does God say about abundance? What does God say about prosperity? What does God say about instead of what I remember other people telling me?
right. Good stuff. So you're becoming a metaphysician like me. So yeah, money is prosperity expressed, and it is of God. So if you focus first on God, God is the cause and money is the effect. God is the cause and money is the effect. So if you focus first on some elements of some people call it the universe, some people call it spirit, some people call it source, for me, it's kind of one and the same because I understand it.
Right.
But it is really, money is prosperity expressed. It is the effect of the cause. The causes God's abundance. All right. So I want to give you some ways that you can increase. Are you interested in hearing some ways that you can increase the cause so you receive the effect? Are you interested?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So first is daily meditation. These are practices that you are going to benefit by doing them daily. You're noticing of having more energy. What happens in this way is that, God is there, you have God inside you, the Christ inside, and it's an energy. And what is the kicker here is learning how to direct the energy. It's not just energy flying around everywhere. You literally learn how to direct that energy. That's co-creation. God gave it to you to use, and you can learn to direct it. That is so important. Because if you have an electrical line, right, you have like a power line, and there's a power line that comes down, it is dangerous, right? Because it's flying around, there's electricity going everywhere. It is what? Not directed. It's not connected. All right. So you are involved with some really great energy here, amazing energy that if you don't connect it and direct it, it can become, I don't want to say dangerous, but maybe more lies get piled on top of it, more lack base, and then you start doubting it. You've got to learn how to direct it. All right. And so think of it as like, like when you switch on a switch, an electric switch, it's the energy doesn't it's always there. It's just you are directing it to turn the light on. All right. So that's what we're going to do with these daily practices. And if you don't do them every day, you are not going to be as good at directing it, of directing the prosperity energy, the energy of God. Connecting, remember, in your gut, and directing, connecting and directing. So the first one is daily meditation. And that's why this abundance book is so helpful, because it has meditations to use every day for 15 minutes. And you read one every day, and then you kind of contemplate it. Now, I don't know about you, Beverly, but I find them to be kind of long, some of them, and I can't always get the whole concept. I have to keep rereading it. And I've done this a number of times. I keep rereading it and taking the concept and then taking the next concept and taking the next concept. But anyway, it is at least, it is a on purpose directed meditation toward God and the connection of abundance so that you can direct it, right? So every day you want to do meditation, every day. and meditation in terms of being involved with God and God's abundance. And you want to visualize. Number 2 is visualize. Visualizing, and what we say, visualize what you want. Not what you don't want, not what could happen, not the oh no, what if, and then how do we do this? Plan B. We want to visualize the stuff that's just yes. Visualize yes, right? So I have this, I have this really great visualization that I have, and it takes me out. Like sometimes when money lies are so prevalent, if you try to visualize like the good situation with money when you don't have money to pay a bill, sometimes that can take you down a bad road because you can't get out of it, right? Has anybody ever had that experience? Like you just get so like whipped up about, but I can't think about anything else. I got to pay this bill, So I would tell you, if that's happening, don't be visualizing about money then. Go visualize. It doesn't matter. God's abundance is God's abundance, and God is smart enough to know what you want. It's not like you have to tell him like 300 times, like your kid was like, I want a Lego, I want a Lego, I want a Lego.
He knows our need before we ever speak it.
Exactly. So if you can trust that, you don't exactly have to think about the situation. The important point is to be in abundant thought. Right? So if money is really like bugging you, and you are like, every time you think about, oh, I want to visualize having all the money to pay this bill and whatever. And then you start going, but I don't have the money. And ever have that? And like, you can't direct your mind, take your mind off of it and just get into abundance somewhere else in your visualization. All right. So go think about something that's easy. How much you appreciate flowers, and are they blooming, and which ones that you would like to see blooming. Like I have orchids, and I imagine the orchids blooming, right? And I just think about that and revel in it, and that gets me in a feeling of abundance, a feeling of connecting with God, right? Connect to direct. If you are not connected with God, you cannot direct the energy. And it doesn't matter if it's about the topic that you're considering, especially money. Money's a hard one. So visualize is important. And here's one, is this deep love. God is deep love. Getting in a space of feeling deep love for your clients, for your dog, your cat, and wherever you can get it. Like sometimes I'm mad at my son, and so getting into a feeling of deep love. I still love him, but really getting into that, I just love, is sometimes gonna be hard because I've got the human stuff going on. So if you've got a resentment going on, or you've got something like that going on, you want to go get into deep love with something else. Your dog, your goat, whatever it is.
Goat.
Those goats, Tanya. All right.
Oh, they're a mess.
And so I knew that's why you were laughing, thinking about carrying around goats to trade. So we've got meditation, visualization. These are daily practices. Being involved in deep love. Love yourself, love your coffee, love your dog. Deep love, just rapture love. And then gratitude and thankfulness. Gratitude and thankfulness is a practice that'll take you further than most anything else. In fact, if you're having a problem with something, start thanking God for it and see what happens with that. And then the next one is kindness, and sort of like a wholeness of how you treat people. And again, this is where resentments don't serve. Resentments and unforgiveness, judgment. This is not part of kindness. It's not part of God. So if you start feeling resentment, I mean, I realized about 2 years ago, I was always talking about, oh, I have a money block. I have a money block. Oh, if I could just figure out what this money block is. And then I started like listening to how I was thinking. And I was having these like back end fights with people, like, and resenting them for this or secretly, like not, it was in my head. And I realized how pervasive that was for me. And when I started like saying, okay, I'm going to, let's not do this right now. In fact, let's turn it around and let's have a loving conversation in your head with this person. Let's turn it around and whatever. And when I started doing that, it changed how I felt, one, and it also changed the flow of all the abundance in my life. Resentment is a huge block. And then the last one to engage in every day. And again, this is in this abundance book. And I gotta look and see where it is. What page it is. I'll need to look at it in just a minute, but, right action, that is like treating people well, being honest, service, all of that stuff is right action. Ephesians 5. I do you just know these off the top of your head, Beverly? Oh.
Not all of them.
I'm
Some
like,
of them-
dang.
Some of them, yes, but I knew there was a verse that said that, so I had to go find
Did
it
you go
out. But
Google it? I love to
no,
Google. Oh.
no, I got my Bible's right here.
Oh, okay. So
It
how did you
stays-
find it in your Bible? I mean, there's a lot of verses in that Bible, girl.
In the back,
you
in
do
the back.
approximately like a guide of, yeah, okay.
Yeah, in the concordance in the back,
Yeah,
there's all time. And a matter of fact, I was looking up just a while ago, abundance and abundant, and there's, yeah.
How
So,
many?
you
Hundreds.
can keep talking and I'll count.
So I'm going to read this. Giving thanks always for all things unto God and the Father in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. And I usually think to myself when I read the Lord Jesus Christ, because I grew up Catholic and I was very much taught about the outsideness of God, not the connection within. So I usually say the Christ within. And I love that. I totally get that, right? Has this been help? How many?
29.
29. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you do these daily practices, all of these that I said, you are creating an energy field for yourself, an abundance energy field. And that is like a force field. It is the direction. It is the, the big transformers that are on top of the electric lines that are really dangerous if they're disconnected. This group of activities, of daily practices, is your big bundle of energy that you can direct. It is very powerful for creating and manifesting and being part of God's world. And money creation is part of God's world. So this is your energy field, these daily practices. So it's really important to remember this if you can, and be involved. So right now we're at the end of what I wanted to present to you today about the spirituality of wealth. Is this been what you want? Do you have questions? And would we want to continue these kind of conversations?
I would like to continue the conversations. And I think it has been very helpful. I wrote lots of notes, but
Yeah.
I think going and getting some of the actual verses that go along with what we're talking about is really good too. So
Yeah.
thank you, Beverly, for bringing all
Beverly's
that.
been
to us.
amazing. Yeah.
You're welcome. It's not me, it's all him. He wrote it right here. All you got to do
That's
is
right.
pick it up and read it. And that's part of my morning routine. As soon as I get up, let the dog out, feed him, and I come and sit here usually at least an hour out. Sometimes it runs into an hour and a half.
Let me tell you a few people to read if you want to learn a little bit more about applying some of the biblical verses to this metaphysical, the intersection, if you will. That's what I often say. You hear me say the intersection of your spirituality, because it is an intersection. The intersection is Florence Scovel Shinn is phenomenal. You can listen to her on YouTube. She has the Book of Life and How to Play It, The Power of the Spoken Word, but she blends scripture, biblical verses, and the journey of metaphysics and how you think and how you speak and directing the energy beautifully. I love her.
What was her name again?
It's Florence. Let me type it in. Florence. And I don't want to just be an information source here. If we continue to do this, I would love to teach you some techniques. Let me see if that's the right last name for her. That doesn't look right. I would love to teach you some techniques. In fact, if you don't mind, I'll teach you one tonight. Is that okay?
Okay. All right.
Hold on, let me make sure I have her name. Are you around us, Peter, or have you given up on us? He might be doing it.
Never give up. Never surrender.
Oh yeah, it's SHINN, no C. That's my German background. Florence Scovel Shinn, SHINN. Yeah, if you want to go grab some of her stuff off of YouTube, I have, you can also buy like the complete works of her writings. And it's, it's nice to read it as well. It's easy to read. She's very easy to follow. Some of this stuff is not easy. But I really think she does a really great job intersecting the energy field and the Christ within and the 3D world, and how do you put it all together. She's a great job. Okay, so I'm going to teach you one practice. I'm going to teach you a metaphysical practice. So the idea of metaphysics is that, like I said at the beginning, is that you are connecting your conscious self and your subconscious self with the God within. Your subconscious self is pretty much God within, but you are connecting those, you're aligning those. You hear the word alignment, you feel it, like you can feel it, like it's like floating and good and tingly and peaceful. All right, so the idea of metaphysics is that you connect those parts of your mind and your spirit with the higher spirit, the God spirit, which is all within you, with what is happening in your world, right? So metaphysics is that blend, which is why we're here. So one part of that, like I said, is creating the energy field, is getting better at visualizing, getting better at imagining, and also getting better at seeing things in a positive way, because we've been taught not to. Is a real key part of creating what you want, is be able to see what you want clearly and to imagine it and imagine the good outcome. And here's the other piece, is relax. All right. So relax and visualize, relax and visualize, relax and visualize. So I'm going to give you an exercise to do. So this is going to help you learn and reset your inner conscious, your inner guidance, your personal guidance, not your God guidance, but your personal guidance to be more receptive to the positive. So what I want you to do is I want you to get in a relaxed position. I don't want you to do it now. I'm going to just give you this example. I'm going to give you this exercise to do. I want you to get in a relaxed position. And then I want you to count back. I want you to take a heavy sigh, like you've had a hard day at work, and that sigh, like when you lay down or sit down, is like, like it's over. Like that's helping your body to relax. So Get comfortable, do the heavy sigh like you've just ended your day of work. And then I want you to count backwards from 5 down to 1 while you're relaxing on purpose. 5, 4, 3, and you can close your eyes. 2, 1. Then I want you to take another heavy sigh and just kind of check in and feel relaxed. Once you get to that state of relaxation, your body's going to start to remember this. This is called in getting into the alpha state. You don't need to worry about that, but in metaphysical words, we need to get into alpha state. So, and now we're going to start practicing. Now that you're relaxed, we're going to start practicing being in the positive and visualizing. So what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes. And now that you're relaxed, and I want you to imagine that you're entering into a carnival, and there's a sign above the carnival where you're entering that says the Carnival of Life. And what you're to do in this carnival is you are to go in your imagination and play all the games, and every single game you win. Every single game you win. You play penny pitch and the pennies go right on the square, and then you win a little bear. You play, you know, whatever it is. You play baseball and you knock over all the things, right? You know how this is, right? So go, you win every single game. And then all of a sudden you got like this handful of, you know, stuffed animals, whatever. And you get to choose, and it's even better if you choose the animals that you want. Like they present you a snake and you say, no, I want a lion, right? You start choosing things, start choosing the games, and everything is a choice and everything you win. And spend just a few minutes. This doesn't have to take more than 5 minutes. Spend a few minutes playing the games and winning. And then as you get ready to, leave and be done because you've got your hands full or whatever, you feel like you're done. I want you to look at a calendar on the wall. You notice during this exercise that there's a calendar on the wall and it's tomorrow's date. Or if it's early in the morning, like Tanya, I know you get up super early if you do this before you go to work, notice the date of that day. If you're doing it at night, notice the next day's date. All right. Notice the date. And then I want you to just tell yourself, okay, I'm coming back. This was really fun. I've got all the stuffed animals and everything. I'm coming back and I'm gonna feel great. I'm coming back from the Carnival of Life. I've won everything and I'm gonna feel great. And then I want you to count, instead of counting down from 5, I want you to count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and open your eyes. Does this make sense?
Yep.
So what you're doing is you're using your subconscious, your conscious, and your visualizations. You're getting better at visualizing, and you're beginning to teach your brain and your mind to visualize the positive. And then the more that you do this, so I would say do it more than once, not just once, but as much as you will, maybe every morning or maybe every night, is the more you do it, the more you're going to be like, oh yeah, I get to do this. Like your body's going to be like, and then you're also going to be like experiencing like the smells of what, like you'll smell the falafels or whatever not the falafels. What is that? The little fried bread, or you'll start to smell it. The more you experience all your senses in your imagination means that you're getting better and better at it. Okay. But what this is really about is training your mind to expect good stuff. Now, I have done this where I've walked into the street, like the street of life, and I've walked down this alley and found a bag with $25,000 in it. And then I counted and like I share it and I put it in my pocket and then I count it again. And, so you could do different things. You could also do one where there's a letter carrier and he has like a little, like the mail guy shows up and he's got this hat on that says good news, and every letter that is that he puts in the box, you open it up and it's all good news, whatever it is. So there's different ways of doing this. The carnival's my favorite. But I want you to start, this is a metaphysical exercise that'll get you into co-creation in a better way. into relationship with God and directing and connection with that power. Remember I said connect and direct, right? All right. Well, if we want to do this again, I'm very welcome to do it. I don't know if we want to do it every Sunday. Oh, is there anything somebody wants to create this week? Let's co-create right now. Let's create. What's up? And I also want to next time we get together here where you hit kind of bumps in the road. Thing you want to create this week?
More opportunities.
More opportunities.
Opportunities.
Like what kind of opportunities? More people?
Yep. More clients.
More coming to you?
Yes. More clients coming to me.
Okay. How are they coming to you right now?
Very slowly. No. I mean, through leads that I've purchased.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
I do have a list of people that, through some networking that I've done that I'm going to reach out to this week. So, that's on my list to do tomorrow.
Which, by the way, let me bring this up. That's exactly perfect, because the way that God gives things to us, we want to open our door and have a basket of money, but God gives things to us through people, because people are the other connection with God. All right. So you and those list of people and all that stuff is absolute abundance and absolute opportunities, right?
Right.
So that's great. Just keep thanking for it, whatever. But let me tell you something you can do. When you go to do your Carnival of Life, add that in, that you are meeting all these people that want life insurance, and that you're like almost call them in to you. Like, these are the people and this is their situation. They've got $100,000 a year. They're, they've got a business. Call them in and meet them. Okay. Because you're calling that energy to you. And then I want you to think about calling them to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They're coming. And you're probably going to have something in your mind that goes, oh, no, they're not. I have to go find them. It's what we've been taught. Just give it a pat on the back. Yep, you're the Matrix. Okay. Yeah, I get you. I'm going to keep playing in this world, in God's world. Yeah. And it's amazing when you start calling them in.
Okay, I'll do it.
They're the right people too. It's just you'll be talking to them and you'll be like, oh, thanks God.
Well, when you said that activity is called the Alpha, I mean, I automatically thought he's the Alpha and Omega. We got to start. You got to start at the beginning. So
the Alpha, getting into the Alpha state. And that's why they call it that. It's the Alpha, the Alpha state. All right. Love you all very much. If you want to do this again, I'd love to hear that. Maybe we'll start a Facebook group, maybe whatever. I don't think we have to pay for it every time. I think we just get together and co-create and have fun.
Can I give 2 scriptures to close us out?
Please.
Since you are in Christ, I have made you an heir to all of my promises. And that is Galatians 3:29. And then Philippians 4:19. I will meet all your needs according to the riches of my glory in Christ Jesus.
Thank you.
What was your Galatian one?
Oh, hang on. Let me find it again.
What is are you wanting to know what the number is so you can look it up?
Galatians 3:29 and Philippians 4:19.
When I get into the wig, I think I've shared this with some of you. I can say to myself, God makes a way when there is no way. God makes a way when there is no way. God makes a way when there is no way. That's an affirmation I use, and I also use pretty frequently. These are Florence Scovel Shinn ones. The walls of lack and delay have fallen away, and I walk now into my promised land under grace.
I like that.
I love that one. I say that quite often. The walls of lack and delay have fallen away, and I'm walking forward into my promised land under grace. So,
yep.
All right, y'all. Have a good week.
Thanks, Paula.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a great week.
Go practice your metaphysical stuff and let me know how it goes. Bye.
Yes, ma'am.